This webinar today is around connecting Fixflo to your job management system. So it's a huge focus for our business this year, helping contractors who interact with the Fixflo system automate a little bit more, move a bit faster as a business as well. So I'll give it 30 more seconds and then we'll get cracking. Great. Well, it's 11:01, so I think we can go to the next slide and very quickly introduce ourselves. So yeah, hello. My name's Lewis. I'm the head of Contractor Marketplace here at Fixflo. So my responsibility is our marketplace product, the marketplace login that we provide, which is what ends up being an integrated profile, and liaising with our wonderful clients and contractors around how they're using the system. Got my colleague Dean. Dean, I'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm Dean Falvey. I'm the network manager at Fixflo. I very much work on the contractor side of the business, so responsible for identifying contractors to work on the marketplace, supporting those contractors, and increasingly solving their problems around things like automations and integrations.
Cool. Thank you, Dean. So yeah, just a really quick disclaimer. Any opinions and thoughts expressed here are mine and Dean's own rather than the business. Got to get the legal jargon out of the way. And then just as a reminder, we'll be running a Q&A session at the end, but yeah, please do get your questions in as the webinar goes. We'll answer them all at the end. So there's a little Q&A button. Yeah, get your questions in. We'll be delighted to answer them at the end. Cool. And just one final thing, this webinar is recorded. So if you do need to hop off or share it with colleagues, feel free to. In terms of our agenda today, it'll mostly be Dean talking, you'll be pleased to hear, but we're going to talk a little bit about the operational reality of contracting and some of the challenges. We'll talk about understanding integrations and how they work in a bit more detail. In plain English, we promise I'll try and not use the term API at any point. Dean will talk a little bit about the job life cycle, so what it looks like in Fixflo at the moment if you're using a service management system and what that can look like if they're integrated with one another. Talk a little bit about the business benefits, and then hand back to me to talk a little bit about our roadmap in terms of actually building integrations, when they're likely to be released, what we're releasing, and how you can get involved. And we'll finish with our Q&A at the end. But yeah, please do get your questions in throughout, and be delighted to answer them. So now to hand over to Dean.
I fear I'm probably going to preach to the choir a bit here, given the attendees that we've got. But just for our mind, in terms of setting the scene, what the realities are at the moment in terms of operating a contractor business, particularly working with clients that are utilising Fixflo. So there is high job volumes and increasing complexity, particularly around admin burdens. Customers' expectations are increasing. We're seeing a trend certainly trying to push kind of more admin burden away, and how that operates going forward. There are multiple systems and manual handoffs. So using your source of truth, your job management system, whatever tool you're using, and then the customer has a very different source of truth. And that requires doing often the same thing 2 or 3 times, which can become incredibly frustrating and time draining. Rising expectations, as I mentioned, from customers. Customers are operating in their own challenges in their own environment, particularly if we look at the letting space, things like that. Landlord expectations are increasing. Therefore, that's feeding through into the agent, and the agent will ask more of their service providers. So in this instance, that's contractors. You don't need me to tell you, running a business that's reactive and planned maintenance, it's constant pressure on timelines, work's fragmented across multiple information, different systems, speaking to tenants, speaking to agents. Efficiency directly at the end of the year, when you're sitting down figuring out how this has all gone, the efficiency and the needle that you're able to move has such an impact on what you're left with in terms of about the bottom line. And then for your own businesses and contractor businesses, certainly people I'm speaking to at the moment, there is increased costs and taxation. Obviously the minimum wage has increased significantly. That gap between perhaps your skilled engineers out in the field, your revenue generating assets, and perhaps relatively junior members of the team in office, that gap has got smaller and smaller. So you're obviously having to address the minimum wage issues and all of that. But then your field engineers will no doubt are looking at that as well, and that pulls everyone along. So your costs are increasing significantly, and we were definitely aware of that. I think on the ground, the real time loss isn't getting out and doing the job. It's all the admin and all the things around it. That's the time consuming element, and it's the cost drain on businesses. Real world scenarios for that are re-entering job details into your own system out of, in this case, Fixflo, updating multiple platforms, uploading the same photos, completion documents, compliance reports, customers chasing for updates, comments in Fixflo, emails. It's pretty full on. And I think contractors aren't short of tools or jobs, or they're short of time. And admin is a significant part of that. And this is where really integrations become operational and not technical. So I think that's a good time for me to say, next slide, please. I've been waiting to do that all day. So what are Fixflo contractor integrations? And it's important that I'm the one to talk about this because I am the least technical person in Fixflo. We are a technology business. That is not my background. My background is real world managing field service operations, dispatching contractors, engineers, and managing the engineers out in the field, and also in the head office doing all the admin and the dispatch. So when I talk about integrations, I talk about what's the difference it's going to make to me in non-technical language. So integrations are really, it allows, particularly for Fixflo integrations, it simply means Fixflo connects directly to the contractor's job management system. Jobs flow automatically, updates flow back and forth without intervention or without work, and contractors, most importantly, keep working in the system they already use and how they use it. So it's removing the double handling. It's not adding software. It's not any of that. So it's, as we often say, it's magic. And it really does make a significant difference to service operations. So integrations are not about changing how contractors manage their jobs, the core steps that you take in processing those jobs, or the systems that you're using. It's just avoiding the need for you to have to use additional things that are taking perhaps time away. And they're not new tools or processes that your team have to learn. It's pretty simple. Next slide, please. When it comes, there we go. So this, many of you will be familiar with what a job looks like today, and we're going to focus in on customers you're working with who are using Fixflo. So no doubt a job arrives in is instructed to you by the agent. That you're triggered to do something is either someone staring at Fixflo or more likely managing an email inbox because you've set up a notification to do that. So what I should say at the beginning of this, good shout, Gemma. Whilst we're talking about this, it'd be really interesting to know what job management systems you're using. So please answer a poll that pops up. That would be super useful, and we can circle back to that. So once that job's come in, no doubt you're there, you're raising the job, whatever job management system you're using, whether it's an off-the-shelf one or, the ServiceMate, a big change, a CommuSoft, or perhaps something you've developed in-house. Someone is taking that, they're physically entering all the details, what the problem is, tenant details, agent details, placing jobs on the correct account, and so on. So you'll go do that. So no doubt you're going into Fixflo to acknowledge and give the assurance that I've got this, I've logged it, we're working on it. Then you will do what you normally do, which is, look at your schedule. You're within the scheme of all your jobs, you're arranging for an engineer to visit. No doubt within your system, you're entering a scheduled date. And then you're probably going back into Fixflo to create that appointment date in Fixflo so the agent knows that you've done it. So your engineer goes out, does what he needs to do. Let's assume he's fixed it first time, fantastic, or comes back and he needs to quote. There's a number of routes that can take. So that job comes back. Presumably you're receiving those reports often electronically from your engineers. You'll then do what you need to do in your system to close those jobs, and then you're going to go into Fixflo and repeat that exercise and insert your worksheets or compliance reports, and you're copying that information into Fixflo. I've heard some horror stories of people downloading an engineer report or pictures from their system onto their desktop, and then opening up Fixflo and then loading that information into Fixflo, and their desktop is just full of these endless attachments that nobody's got round to deleting. Yes, there is a better way, and that's obviously what we're here to talk about today. And then, yeah, you might need to invoice be raised separately, and then you're going in and duplicating that step in Fixflo and adding it up. End result, the job gets done and you've invoiced for the job, but there is a lot of time wasted, and we know exactly how long that is. That time is 17 minutes from beginning to end of job in terms of double entry in back and forth between Fixflo and job management systems. So
I think
that's
just one of the things to add there really quickly as well, Dean. I think you've spoken with some customers who are doing this across, they've got one service management system, right? But then
yeah,
it might not be just one Fixo system they're logging into. They might be working with
multiple.
20 different Fixo clients. You've got 2,000 who use our system. So it's very likely that you're working with multiple. Then you've got to remember passwords to log into every single Fixo system, blah, blah, blah. It becomes more and more challenging, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And the problem, as you say, gets bigger and bigger as your business grows and you
Yeah.
take on more customers, and you've got all of these logins. So yeah, I'm sure your admin teams are often complaining about these issues. So that's today. It's a bit yucky, but thankfully there is a better way. So this is what a job flow looks like when your job management system is integrated. So first thing, job is allocated to you by the agent. Like magic, the job appears in your job management system, in your workflow, ready for you to do the things you normally do. So immediately we've removed all that having to create a job and copy information over and all of that. So the integration will automatically put all that information into the job management system. And that is typically the tenant details on the right customer account, with the fault details, all of any pictures that have been pulled through, all the things that you would expect, contact details, all of that information is coming through. You go out, you do, what an integration can't do for you is decide which engineer is going to go and when. That's your skill set, that's your expertise. So the team would do that. They would schedule the engineer as normal. You'd enter the appointment date into your job management system or into your scheduler. Automatically, that information is instantly pulled and pushed into Fixflo. So the agent is now notified and the job status has automatically been updated and progressed. So the agent can see the activity that's taken place. Your engineer goes out, submits his worksheets, compliance reports, pictures, anything that you're doing. All of that information, the final completion documents, would automatically push and sync into Fixflo, going into the right places that the agent would need them, all automatically. And in addition to that, there's if you're quoting, there's quotations, which are obviously part of a normal process. All of those quotes automatically push into Fixflo. Job status is updated, all done back and forth. And also, we now have comments functionality available for our integrations. So comments back and forth between agent and yourselves can all live in your source of truth in your service management system without having to log back in. All of that results in what we're seeing from contractors who have adopted the integrations is I go and ask them when the last time they logged into Fixflo, and they can't give me an answer because they really don't remember it. And the thought of going back is probably an impossible nightmare, and they're not willing to tolerate. So it's really made a difference. And in terms of the numbers, what it looks like. So for contractors doing 100 jobs a month, of which that's a fairly modest number for contractors who are doing a lot of work with customers utilizing Fixflo. That 17 minutes, whilst it doesn't sound like a lot, it equates to 28 hours a week. Now that's nearly a full-time person. So, even if you base that on minimum wage cost type scenario, that in real spend is about 500 quid a week in admin time. So it's a significant amount of time and cost. And, we're talking about cost pressures on contractor businesses. This is where we can start really eating away at things that are taking cost and time. So it's a big difference. So night and day really is, I think, the comparison. And it's the same people, it's the same process. It's just less friction and no double entry. As simple as that. Next slide, please.
Well, just before we could do that, just a question from me, Dean. You talk a little bit about it updating the agent system as well, which is ultimately the customer that we're talking about here, right? What's the benefits to them, would you say?
So in terms of what we are seeing is it increases stickiness. So agents particularly are realizing that integrated contractors are just completely embedded in their workflow. So there's just no need. The volume of chases are significantly reduced. So all of those emails and comments about what's going on, because 9 times out of 10, the contractor's already done the thing, like the scheduling or the thing. It's just that they perhaps haven't got round or missed an update in Fixflo and so on. So it stops that additional pressure of chasing and emails coming in or job comments coming in. It increases the stickiness of the agent because you're just completely embedded in their workflow. And your jobs are just moving across seamlessly, and you're not having to I always use the swan analogy, it's all graceful and beautiful on top. And really, if you walk in any service operation, it's absolute chaos under there because people are trying to battle through. So it just removes all of that. And yeah, feedback from agents have been really positive, and we're seeing now, if you put, particularly in Marketplace, we're seeing this behaviour. You put an integrated contractor alongside a non-integrated contractor, and it came down to a choice. We're seeing that choice is going with integrated, so it's making a big difference.
Cool.
Next slide,
Thank
please.
you. Next slide, please. Cool. So this is back to me. To try and not get too producty on it, really, but just wanted to talk a little bit about our roadmap in terms of developing integrations, how it works, how we decide what to build. As you can see, we, in a bit of a momentous occasion for us, went live with our first integration with ServiceMate back in December it was, and we've seen really good uptake in that. Contractors going live in a rapid way, which is really positive. We have a roadmap essentially to keep doubling down on this and build more integrations with off-the-shelf systems. We've got one that we'll be launching in Q2. Unfortunately, it's still under NDA, so I can't tell you specifically which job management system that will be with, but watch the space essentially in the next couple of weeks. For Q3 and Q4, we've penciled in some stuff there, but that's essentially where we need you to get involved, people who are attending this webinar. We're really focused on building the integrations that are going to provide the most benefit, that are going to see the most usage, that have the most demand, essentially. So what we will have is a survey at the end of the webinar for you just to let us know, look, I'd really be interested in integration with JobLogic, with Commusoft, whatever it is, because the more demand that we can show within our client base, the more that allows me to go to our product team and go, cool, let's go and build some more and more. So what we're really doing at the moment is having this, quite open webinar, really, where we're wanting to understand what's going to benefit contractors, what should we build next, with the caveat that we have people waiting and ready to do that. So it's just about understanding where to point the development team, really. One thing to note here is that our focus at the moment is building integrations with off-the-shelf systems. So, they're used by a wide variety of the market, but I think Dean talked about this a little bit at the start, where not all businesses are going to use an off-the-shelf system, or an off-the-shelf system may not be correct for them. I promise I wouldn't speak about APIs too much, so I won't, but yeah, we do have the ability for people to build an integration with a custom system. That's not typically something that's done by our development team. It's done by the contractor's own development team, or whether they use a third party. So again, I suspect we'll get a lot of interest in that after this webinar. If that is you have a custom system that you're interested in integrating, please do just reach out to Dean and me, because we can tell you how to do that, and then kind of go through the process with you. Cool. I think that's it. So I think we'll move on to the Q&A now. We do have a couple of questions, but yeah, please do get your questions in. So the first one is from Jack. It says, will there be a cost to the contractor to integrate? So Dean, I'll let you answer that one.
Yeah, I think the cost is kind of negligible, really, when you compare to the cost savings. So in terms of setting these things up, it's all pretty straightforward, ready to go. Doesn't take long at all. There is a massive time save here. I think when you pitch the two against each other, it really is negligible in comparison. I often use the cost a cup of coffee versus
One of them, eh? Yeah.
going and buying a house. Yeah.
Yeah, I think just to add to that, yes, that there is it's a cost. It's a monthly cost typically is what's being charged for the integration. But as Dean says, it's based on volume. So the smaller number of jobs you carry out, the lower the cost. And yeah, look, we wouldn't be building these or having people take them on if it wasn't a cost saver at the end of the day. Cool. We've got one from Jaquel. Do you have a demo of Fixflo to show? We can. I won't go through it today, but my email is lewis.bray@fixflo.com. If anyone just feels free to just reach out to me. I'm happy to send you some content or provide a demo. That's not a problem. We have one from Lorraine. Will you be integrating with Sage? Dean, what's your opinion on that?
My opinion on that is that particularly if you have a Lorraine, I don't know what job management system you're using, but if you were using a off-the-shelf system, typically the integration between your accounting software and your job management system would be taken care of with your job management system. So, for example, let's use a ServiceMate as an example. They have integrations with Xero and Sage, so typically they would raise the invoice within their job management system. That then serves two purposes. The job management system would push out the invoice into Sage or Xero or whatever it is you're using, and the Fixflo integration would push it out into Fixflo and be job done. So, certainly keen if you're a customer, certainly be keen to understand your requirements around that. A lot of this, as Lewis touched on, is our roadmap is intentionally, whilst we've secured the time and the resources, we need to know what you need. So yeah, any feedback you can give would be useful.
Cool. Yeah, Lorraine's just followed up. I use Sage for everything. I don't use any job management system. Invoices and quotes get done through Sage. So that's really useful feedback, Lorraine. I think, as we say, we're talking about job management systems here, but I think what we're really talking about is integrating your workflow, whatever you're using, into Fixflo. So if we sit here and we get 100 people say I want a Sage integration, that really gives Dean and I some ammo to go, cool, well, that's something that we need to do and look into, really. So at the moment, it's we've talked about it. We have, as Dean said, assumed it would be through the job management system, but you're right. If you're not using a job management system and that's going to provide you benefit, it's absolutely something we can look into. Cool. Cool. We've got, sorry, there's so many. I'm struggling to keep up. So you've got from Sweeter saying, can we have a video on how to use Fixflo? I'm new to this. So again, we have an amazing support team who can help clients of ours or contractors use the Fixflo system. Feel free to reach out to myself and I can just point you in the direction of the support team who can provide you any material that you need on training. Cool. The next question or statement really is we use Xero in conjunction with Commusoft. So that's from Michelle. So that's really helpful, Michelle. And yeah, that's what Dean and I were expecting. Typically of contractors, we might be wrong, but yeah, our expectation is Fixflo, job management system, accounting system sat over here, and the job management system in the center of all of that. We've got one from Hamit saying, hi, will there be a change to the way we upload documents? So Dean, that's one for you.
The integrations that have been adopted so far, we've not seen that. It aligns with how people are working today. So I say that with a caveat that some people work slightly differently, and we're yet to see that. So I think the short answer is we wouldn't expect it to change how you are uploading documents, assuming you're creating them in ServiceMate or your job management system or whatever it is that you're using.
Well, I think it is further than that, right? You're not even having to upload them into Fixflo is the benefit. You're creating it in your service management system, and that's that. It should sync.
Yeah. Sorry, absolutely. The step of having to go to Fixflo is completely removed. So there's assumed that that's the case with the integration. In terms of your input and how you create them today, shouldn't change.
Cool. So we've got a few more minutes, guys. So if you do have any other questions, there's just a couple more here. So Dean, how long does an integration take to set up? Is the next question.
Our record so far is 2 days, so really not long. Now, custom integrations, if it's an off-the-shelf one that we're integrating with, we're completely in control of that. We can move as fast or as slow as you like. If it's a custom integration, as Lewis has spoken to, a lot of that is down to you in terms of how quickly you're able to move on it. But the short answer is no time at all.
Cool. I think that's it for the questions. We'll sit on here for another minute or so unless people have any more. But yeah, there is a survey at the end, just to let us know if integration is something you're interested in, what you'd like us to integrate with. As I say, that really helps us build up the picture. Feel free to reach out to Dean or me at the end of the call. I'm lewis.bray@fixflo.com. Dean is dean.falvey@fixflo.com. Yeah, so feel free to reach us out. Just a couple more statements, I guess. So we've got Jaquel saying, not using a job management system, using Goodlord for referencing and pre-tenancy. Okay, so that's really useful to know. Thank you. Lorraine, just to let you know, my invoices on Sage integrate with Fixflo. They go automatically, but the pictures do not. I have to go onto Fixflo and upload the pictures. Quotes are not integrated. Okay, so yeah, that's exactly the kind of use case and time save. So I presume you're using an email inbox perhaps to email the invoices over. But yeah, we can get a lot more information out of Sage, I'm sure. So that's really helpful, Lorraine. Thank you.
Nice.
Brilliant. Well, I'll give it another 30 seconds and then I think we can love you and leave you.
Been a pleasure, Lewis. Thank you.
Yeah. Always enjoy our chats, Dean. Thanks. Great. Well, I think we can call it there. As I say, feel free to reach out. Please do answer the survey that will come up. But yeah, this has been a pleasure, guys. Thanks so much. And looking forward to speaking to some of you in future.